Yo, what's up? Welcome to Dad Name Podcast. David, how you doing?
Hello, doing well.
Good. So we got another dad here. We got my dad here today.
Hi, guys.
The dad of dads.
Introduce yourself.
Introduce myself.
Yeah, like name. If you
Oh.
want your name titled.
Oh,
if
yeah.
Not, no worries.
Dad named Derek.
Dad named
Dad
Eric.
named Eric. That's great. So he's my dad. Also, share your profession.
I am a marriage and family therapist.
Yeah, so we thought this would be really cool for all of our submissions that we do, me and David.
Yeah.
We thought it'd be fun to be able to not only have me and David's perspective, but also my dad's perspective, more on a psychological way, I guess I would say. So I'm really excited. So, Dad, what we do here is we kind of start with our dad high and our dad low. So,
All
me and
right.
David probably have pretty much the same
Yeah,
dad
we
low.
are. We're going to
Go
have
ahead.
the same highs and same lows. Well, yeah, we both of our families got wrecked
Brutally sick.
by the flu this
Yeah.
week. I was telling Ryan, I don't get sick, right? Like I don't.
We've talked about it on the podcast, DDGS, Daddy don't get sick.
Yeah, Daddy don't get sick. Daddy
DDGS.
I don't get
Daddy,
sick.
don't get sick.
But I got sick this week. It was bad.
He kept
It
telling
was-
me, because I was sick before him, and I was.
You got me sick.
yes,
Let's
I
be
did.
honest.
100%.
No, I'm just kidding. Actually,
No,
I don't
100%.
think you did though.
So we went and got the new Pokemon release.
Of course.
We stood in line for 2 hours
Yep.
at a place, and it was totally well worth it. And we were able to get our hands on one. And during that time, Danielle was just finally kind of getting out of being sick, and I was avoiding it. At this point, I was not sick yet, but I had like a little cough going, and I was like, I might be catching it. We'll see. Ended up catching it pretty bad the next day.
Yeah.
And then David texted me a couple days later. It was like, yeah, I'm getting there too.
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel pretty sick. He's like low grade fever. And then the next day it jumped up to like 103.
It was 102. It was
Yeah.
102. Yeah, it was.
Ah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, 102.
No, to brag or anything.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's kind of cool. Had a 102, no big deal.
Yeah, but it was brutal. My whole family's sick, and Noah, my 2-year-old, he's still sick now. So it just kind of it's rotated. Once one person got
Yep.
done, the next got it, and so
how it
now
goes.
it's Noah's turn.
Yeah, that's how it goes. So, yeah, I'm guessing that's your dad low.
Yeah.
Yeah, dad low.
Dad high is I'm not sick anymore.
Yo! Come on now, that's
That's
awesome.
a good thing because I was running Ryan through the ringer.
Oh, yeah.
We may not come out.
Yeah, of course.
Because it was pretty contagious.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
'cause this whole thing was a surprise, Danielle, which, by the way, I just got to say, I'm so proud of myself. This is the first time I've ever surprised Danielle
awesome.
successfully. She knew when I was proposing. She knew just any other surprise I've tried to do, even with them before, I've tried to surprise her with them.
Yeah.
Does not work. And this one finally worked. We went and shopped for her birthday, and then like timed it perfectly. So we got done there, headed on over to the airport. They were pulling up. Danielle starts crying.
Oh, that's
She's
awesome.
freaking out. She's like, why are we going to the airport? Like the minute I start missing our exit, she's like,
Yeah.
why are we going to the airport? What are we doing? Yeah. So I was able to surprise her. So super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the only thing that came up was the My App, or what's it called?
Oh yeah.
Where they locate all the people.
Yeah, this would actually be a
In
great
the group?
sponsor for us on the podcast, Life 360.
Yeah.
For a family.
Yeah.
Just saying, if you want to ever work with us, let us
Except
know.
it doesn't work for surprises.
You don't want to use it for surprises.
Because it says Eric and Stephanie, my wife, have landed in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Didn't work out great.
at
So
that
then,
point, it was up.
and at this point, I had already told Danielle that it was a different person to try to
Right.
make her think it was someone else. So then she goes on to Life 360, looks at our friend Jess, who is what I said it was. You've met Jess.
Yeah, yeah.
And she goes, it says Jess arrived at home 4 minutes ago. And I'm like, why you gotta do that? Why you gotta look?
Yeah.
And then she saw that they were at the airport. And she's like, all right, well, anyways.
It worked out.
So
Yeah.
Dad high for you. You're not sick anymore.
Exactly.
Okay. Dad high for me. Did you see my series that I did of solo parenting while
Yeah.
I was sick? Did great. Did some great things
Nice.
with it. And on that whole topic, I built a Discord server for parents.
Oh, sick.
And it's for all these different parents to come together, be able to chat and
Yeah,
feel
awesome.
comfortable around each other. So it's just called Dad Name Server. And there is a section for moms to be able to chat. There's a whole separate section for dads. There's a separate section for pay it forward type stuff with parenting.
That's
You know,
awesome.
because sometimes it's really hard to find something for your baby, right? It's nice to pay it forward.
Yeah.
And then currently pregnant as well. So I started that, so that was really cool. Hit 600K, so that was cool.
Wow, that's
and
awesome.
then, yeah, Hudson's doing good. He's got a little bit of a cough, so he's just coming off it.
Yeah.
What about you?
I got a lot of highs.
Highs.
Coming here, obviously, is a big high. Love hanging out with my son. Super proud of him. Also being a grandfather, my name is Papa, is always great hanging out with our new grandson.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of pleasure there. And then last night, we went back a few years and played a little basketball. But we went back many, many years because we weren't using a regular basketball hoop. We were using a little kid-sized one that moved back and forth a little bit,
Nice.
and we were terrible, just terrible.
We
So
were
then we
really
just started throwing balls at each other.
There you
so
go.
it was a lot of fun.
A little bonding moment
of
there.
fun, yeah.
Old type of bonding moment. We're just beating each other up.
Yeah, it
And
was
playing
great.
basketball, it's usually how it went.
That's great.
Dead low? You got dead low? Anything
low.
Anything I did piss you off already?
No, not really. Just
That's
it's
good.
a short trip. So
It's a bummer.
that's too bad, but we'll be back out again. So that's good.
Just staying for a month.
That's
in
probably
June.
about it. Yeah, just a short trip.
But staying for a month in June?
Yeah.
We'll be
That's
staying for a
awesome.
month in
That's
June.
great.
That'll be fun.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Hang out, play golf.
You want to share with him what you and Mom did on Christmas Sunday?
We went to a new church.
Cool.
Really enjoyed it. Great music. Very similar to here.
Oh, cool.
Small church, and turned out that the pastor was a friend of Chelsea's and yours.
Oh,
right?
nice.
When they were younger, so it was nice to reconnect
That's
there
cool.
too.
He's really good.
A lot of
That's
fun.
awesome.
Great at preaching.
That's
That was
awesome.
really
Yeah.
awesome.
So
Very
he's
similar
like
style.
your age?
No, a little older.
A little older?
Yeah,
He's more like
But
my sister's
you
age.
knew him when you were younger?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Sports. yeah.
Nice, nice. That's awesome.
yeah.
That's
He's
great.
very charismatic and really engaging.
Very,
awesome.
very similar
cool.
preaching style as you.
Oh, cool.
I've actually seen him preach before a long time ago.
That's cool.
Um,
Love that.
But yeah, okay. So before we get started, real quick, we do have quite a few submissions today, which is pretty exciting. We're pretty pumped for that because he's here, so he'll be able to kind of tell it on more of a psychological level. And but if not, David, you want to go ahead and tell them
Yeah.
if they do want to submit?
So if you want to submit, which I highly encourage that you do.
Yeah, please. It's awesome.
It's just a, you know, I was just talking with a friend earlier this morning, and we were just talking about like sometimes it's nice just having a safe place just to vent.
100%.
You know, especially like as dads, because as dads, you go through a lot of things that you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
You know, like especially like your first kid, it's all trial by fire. It feels like you know, like it's just hope this works. You know, hope you don't die. You know, like it's just, and sometimes you need a kind of a spot of just being able to vent and ask something freely. And sometimes, especially men, our generation, we're so connected, but we're honestly lonely. We don't have we have a lot of shallow connections because of social media, but I don't think we have a lot of like deep connections sometimes.
Absolutely.
I think we're missing that.
Good way to put
So, like, this is just an opportunity in a safe place to kind of vent some of those things in a judge-free way, and your name's not going to get out there. No one's going to know, but
You
it's...
can put a fake name if you want, whatever.
Or put your real name and your address and your social security number
Yeah,
for all we
and
care.
we'll
I mean,
take
that's
it all.
fine. It's whatever.
Yeah, we love it.
That's fine.
Take
But
it all.
no, and the whole goal of this is just, you know, we're Christian men. We're young dads. We're in the thick of it with you. And this is just kind of a place to kind of voice some of those questions that honestly I think all dads kind of have and go through. So if you want to email a submission, it's dadnamedpodcast
Yeah.
at gmail.com. It's
Well
there.
put, bro.
They're on the screen.
Well put, dude. Well put. So don't have much drama for you, but I do have one little thing. We're talking about, you know, the lady.
Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah. So we're bringing back Hannah. Hannah's a person on TikTok. Just, you don't know how this goes. This is a lady who basically was not a great parent in the videos that she filmed.
Okay.
And she would often like hold food away from her kid. The kid would be reaching for food and she'd hold it back, or she'd say like, no, you can't have it. She made a video where she went shopping, and in the beginning of the video, she was like, it's like 4 degrees outside. I know it's really cold and my baby should have a coat. It's too expensive to buy a coat. And then she went and bought a $50 sandwich for herself. And $50 for a sandwich, by the way. Crazy, right? We were blown away by
That
that.
had to be a great sandwich.
was Popeyes.
Hopefully.
It was Popeyes.
$50, I mean,
It was Popeyes.
Popeye's
That
sandwich.
doesn't make any sense.
I don't even understand how you can get a Popeye sandwich for $30. Anyways, so there was actually a CPS case on her, And it kind of became a huge thing. She didn't post on social media for a whole month. Now, recently she's been posting again. I brought this up last week to you. And she's been posting, and usually her comments were like complete hate because it's like, you're not a good mom. All of a sudden, there's like this huge switch. And I cannot find a single negative comment.
Was she deleting them?
That's my theory. I don't know. I mean, it's hundreds though. So I don't know. It seems like it's very interesting. So I'm kind of on top of that right now. So I'll report back to you next week on.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Oh yeah, I know you're so pumped.
I'm a big fan of yours. I can say.
Every time we do the parenting drama, it's just like cool, whatever.
I've yet to watch a single Hannah video.
Yeah,
Other than the one you showed me last time.
yeah. She's starting to like talk more about her relationship with God though and stuff. So.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
She might be changing.
Yeah.
Hurting
Well,
a little
good
bit
for her.
Yeah, we're super excited about that, but there's just some weird
Yeah.
stuff going on with the comments. So that's my
Interesting.
drama this week. Really not much at all, dude. Hit us with your game.
Okay, I have made a game for Dad named Eric, with him being here today. Just thought it would be a fun opportunity to kind of, having the dad here, kind of get some insight on, on
this will be fun.
Ryan and some dad knowledge. With the proof in the pudding with Ryan sitting right here. So the name of the
little
game
nervous.
is Ploof Points, which we can maybe edit some of that later, maybe. But
I like it.
Ploof
I like
Points.
The name or just
I like it. Dude.
Yeah,
Blue
blue
points.
So
Be confident in your game.
First question, 5
I
points.
am not. I am not the gamer maker like Ryan is. But I have
nervous.
some.
He's not confident. He should be confident. It's a sick
okay,
game.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Dude, boast about your game. It's
So
sick.
okay, I should have made theme music. That would have been perfect.
I never had the
So question one. I don't even remember what question one was. Oh yeah.
a lot of passion into
So
it.
Ryan was known for being a bit of a prankster. What was he like? Was he like that as a kid?
You're talking about my prank videos? Or
Maybe
just in general, just me having fun?
just him in general.
Yeah.
But he's been known, especially in his early YouTube years,
Oh, I did some things as a kid.
being a little prankster. Is there anything? Was he like that as a kid? Was he?
He was. He definitely was. The thing about Ryan is he's always kind of gets an idea and he's all in. And so a lot of
I've noticed
times the ideas would go terribly wrong. But it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because he would sell it as if it was what was supposed to happen. So a lot of times we'd be sitting here listening to this story
That's
about Dad. You
hilarious.
don't understand. See, the idea was the thing was supposed to collapse. So then, if you were underneath it or something, it would collapse and be really funny. But you weren't. But it still worked as it was supposed to. So, from a prankster point of view, he didn't try many
Oh, dude.
pranks with me. He did with his sister. And sometimes he would kind of call me up and tell me some story. So I guess that was kind of a prank. But most of the time it was his creativity. He decided once to paint the side of our house
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
with some spray paint.
What?
They were painting. We gave him canvas, right, to paint
Okay,
on.
sure.
He's doing it with a friend of his, and then all of a sudden they decide the canvas was too small.
Well, no, here's
So
just
you
real
painted
quick.
the side of the house.
With what you were saying, how I always said it like how it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
I would even tell my friends. I would have so much confidence. I'd be like, they told me I could do this. They told me I could spray paint the house.
Yes, they would do that. Yeah, which made us sound like ridiculous parents most of the time, but.
Everybody thought they were so chill. They're like,
So
wow,
you
your
literally
parents don't care about
graffitied
anything.
your own
It was bad.
home?
Yeah, I had to sit there and scrub it,
Oh wow.
Yeah.
and it wouldn't come off.
Yeah, you had to learn
Oh my goodness.
learn a lesson there.
I can't imagine my kids.
My freaking friend, though, I got a bone to pick with my friend on this. I do.
Yeah, he claimed he was innocent the whole time. And,
Yes, dude.
and then he had to go home or
Thank you.
something,
He
right?
then goes, "Oh, my stomach hurts."
That was it.
He goes, "My
That was
stomach
it.
hurts."
That's a
Lives
smart
right up
kid.
the street, and my mom's so nice. My mom's like, "Oh, Carson, it's okay. You don't have to worry about it. Go home."
Carson, we know we're on to you, buddy.
Oh, dude, he knows. I brought this up to him multiple
Yeah,
times.
he's brought
Several
this
years
up
later.
several times. He just laughs, but
Yeah, it's
That's awesome.
a jerk.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had to sit there and scrub my own doing. Ridiculous.
Consequences for your own actions?
Yeah, ridiculous,
It's terrible,
dude.
isn't it? See, we're mean.
Awful.
We're mean parents.
That's hilarious. So no gentle parenting there. Okay, we got it.
No,
Good.
no.
All right, question number two. Did Ryan show any interest in making videos or performing?
Good question.
I mean, that's kind of what he does now. But did he show interest in that when he was young?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ryan's been an entrepreneur from the start. Make his own marketing, make videos, performing. He'd go back and forth on that, right? Yeah. He would say he's going to do performing, and so he'd join drama. And then I think you got out of it, or you were in one.
I don't think I ever did theater, Dad.
No, well, you were going to. And then you did choir.
Choirs.
And then you got out.
Yeah.
Right? But then he started filming and taking pictures. And the one thing about Ryan is he would always take my equipment. And then when I said, hey, do you know where this is? He'd go, no? And I'd look and it'd be on his camera and he'd go, Dad, don't you remember? See, this is part that always worked out for him. Dad, don't you remember? You said I could use this. And so I'm using it.
Oh, man.
And I said, dude, I just asked you, did you take it? And he said, I didn't take it because you said I could use it. So I just used it.
Eric, did you make like pictures and stuff? And were you into all that as well?
Yeah, so I was into photography with my dad. And cool, wow. My dad, we actually built our own darkroom.
Oh, really?
No
way.
Yeah. And used to, process the pictures. He took a class from Joseph Scalia, famous photographer of his day. Yeah, no, it's okay. You know.
Okay.
Good old Joe.
And they went to Fiji.
Wow.
With him, and then he came home, and he had taken so many slides back then. So this is really dating it. Used to have little slides, and there were probably 200 or close to 300 carousels of slides.
Wow.
That's how many pictures he took.
That's fascinating.
So I just kind of followed suit and took pictures myself, but then Ryan took it to a whole new level.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like the apple's not falling too far from the tree.
Not too far. No.
It's funny, too, because I've told you about this. Like, anything I do, I go all into it.
Yeah, you do.
Get the most expensive stuff, get whatever I need to do.
You're like that with Pokemon right now. I briefly mentioned to him one evening, hey, I got this cool Pokemon card. A month later, he has like 12 times as much as I do, and he's like, hey, we got to go. Hey, we got to play right now. He'll text me 4 times a day. When are we coming over to play? And it's like, what monster did I create?
Well, you didn't create it.
You wanted this, dude.
You wanted this created.
I asked for it.
Yeah.
No, I love it. He used to do that with us on everything, like Tech Deck, which are
I remember those.
Kind of a crazy little toy, because you pretend you're skateboarding,
Awesome.
but you do it with a finger.
Yeah,
those are great.
Right?
Yeah, I
And
went to competitions.
Every day he would talk about doing something, and then we could take him and he could buy a Tech Deck.
Yep.
And he ended up with, God, I don't know, 100 Tech Decks.
Kendamas, I was semi-pro.
Kendamas, same way. He's all in on everything.
Yep.
So
Problem is it goes though for a little bit and some don't stick. Some just fade away real quick.
Yeah.
But as I gotten older, I've noticed it's like they'll stick easier.
Yeah.
Because I like find enjoyment more in them, and I don't care what people think. I used to care what people think. Now I don't. So
Yeah.
Well, Eric, as a family counselor, I mean, this is just kind of an interesting question, interesting segue on some of this. Because my dad's a pastor. I'm a pastor. Sounds like he's a third generation, some kind of filmography, photography, videography. I mean, what is the line of like the apple falling too far from the tree versus breaking maybe family traditions? Like, is it inevitable? Like you are a repeat of your father to some degree? Like,
Not completely, but it's a good question, because what we know is we know that the meaning making about how you're going to live your life starts at a really young age.
Yeah.
And based on how one makes meaning of what they're observing, actually forms an attachment style. The attachment style is what helps one either be really secure on their own and when engaging with others, be anxious, which means that they're worried that it will leave or go away.
Yeah.
And so then they become clingy and often worried about future.
Yeah.
Or they become avoidant and then they become indifferent. Now, the other thing we know is when we practice traits from another generation, our father, our grandfather, whatever it may be, psychologically, we feel closest to them when we are emulating.
I can see that.
And so it comes forward a lot. And matter of fact, a lot of times when we're looking at someone, we'll be trying to figure out what we call it family schemas, how the family operated is still present in their mind or in their behavior today.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
So how much would you say of that meaning making, how much do you get from your dad in that?
Yeah, great question. So meaning making, we've learned, comes from 3 areas. One is past meaning coming forward. So that would be from the father and the meaning associated with that.
Yeah.
The other is how you feel about yourself in the moment that you're making meaning of the experience. And then how you see the moment. So we'll get into that a little bit, I'm sure, with the questions. But the idea is many, many times we argue each other's meaning as if there's a universal meaning that one should believe. But if you think about it, meaning is all personal. It's all subjective because it's based on your past meaning and how you're feeling about you.
Yeah.
And the other person, chances are, their past meaning and how they're feeling about them will almost guarantee difference.
Yeah. Right. And that makes sense because we're not talking about truth here. We're talking about meaning in the way a person feels purpose and value. Is that what you mean by meaning? Like, what do you mean by meaning?
Yeah. So meaning is how does the brain figure out what to do? What am I looking at and how am I going to behave? And there's 2 parts of the brain that are in play. One is what is known as the frontal cortex. It's up front here. And what that does is that's where we make all our reasoning. We take facts, we take figures, we take past, we take what people are talking about. And we just kind of filter it and figure out what do we care about and what makes sense to us.
Right.
But there's another part of meaning which is in the center of your brain, and that is where it's also known as the memory meaning center. So obviously, that's where all the memory from the past resides. It's also where the emotions start to present themselves. And based on that, people can get flooded with emotion. And what happens if you look at the brain as your hands cupped like this, and this is your frontal cortex. This area right down here is amygdala. And what it does is it tries to figure out, are we in danger? And if so... Every time. That's its whole function.
No matter what.
No matter what. That's it.
That's what that part does.
It just dangles down here, and that's it. Okay? It's like a smoke alarm.
Yeah.
So what it'll do is it'll say, there is smoke. And that's it.
As in, I don't feel comfortable.
Now your frontal cortex kicks in and tries to figure out where's the smoke coming from.
Yeah.
Okay? However, if you had some tragic experience in the past, the other area that's kicking in is the memory center.
Yeah.
And as it fires up, it's almost like it pops the lid of your frontal cortex. So the more you think about the memory, this is how trauma works. the more it's hard for you to look at the moment
Yeah.
as anything but the past.
Yeah. You lose the forest for the trees kind of thing.
Exactly.
Your ability to reason gets diminished to a certain extent. Yeah?
Yeah,
Right, that's
it
what you're
can
saying?
get to the point that it makes no sense.
Wow.
Right? And so people, when they're arguing sometimes and the emotion is flooding, right? Another person who's not reacting that way will often say, you're not making sense.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Right.
Sure.
Wow, that's fascinating.
That is.
I love this kind of
He's helped me through
conversation.
so much stuff before.
fascinating.
You ask him one question,
Yeah.
he'll sit there and talk for 10,
love
20
it.
minutes, but it's all really informative.
I have another question similar to that at the end, but the third question that I have for Plouffe Points, which I think is something everyone has been really wondering, did Ryan have an unhealthy obsession with cleaning products like he does now?
No. This is probably one of the biggest changes in Ryan. I used to try everything, including offering tech decks or kendamas or whatever it was to get him to clean,
Yeah.
and it was a uphill battle.
That's hilarious.
And then he gets his own place, and now he's cleaning
Yeah,
all
see,
the time.
parents don't force your kids to clean. They're going to love it when they grow up.
Yeah. Well, that makes question number 4
Not guaranteed.
maybe a little redundant because I was going to ask, besides cleaning toilets, what was some of his favorite hobbies as
I
a
had
kid?
so many hobbies, dude.
He had a ton.
It just sounds like it.
Yeah. Everything from he was into scouts, he was into soccer, basketball,
Sport changed every season.
yeah, just about every season. And again, all in. So all the equipment, all the practicing for hours.
And I got to the
and
point where I was like,
hours.
I got to figure out how to make my own money because I'm just taking my parents whenever I get into these new hobbies.
Yeah.
And they supported me, which is amazing. But then I was like, I can't do this every time. I feel so bad.
Yeah. Right.
So then, figured out making businesses, whatever, clothing and getting jobs and stuff like that. But yeah, my hobbies, I feel like I had a new one at least every year.
you had new hobbies a lot. Yeah,
Well,
so-
okay. On that note, last question, because I think that's a great segue into the last question.
Nice.
As a dad, how do you balance encouraging your child with their dream,
Wow.
yet keeping them in reality?
Wow.
Because your son his career's a little unconventional.
Yeah.
It's a little non-traditional to majority of people in the way that he's enabled to be successful. How do you, as a dad, encourage your kid to pursue their dreams, which I think is every dad's dream themselves, but yet, gotta also live in reality.
This is good.
Yeah.
Think about when I went to LA.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it's hard. I work with families all the time where the teenage child is trying to figure out their course, and it's not aligning with either family schemas or also parents' expectations.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the thing that I emphasize is, as a parent, we're not trying to raise role model kids.
Interesting.
We're trying to raise secure adults. Okay? Because they're going to be out on their own at some point.
Yeah. No, that's really good.
And you want them to have kind of the core set of values
Yeah.
that help them chart their way
Yeah.
with success and with fulfillment
Yeah.
without kind of choreographing what that path is.
Wow.
No, that's really interesting. Would you say, like, the analogy that just came to mind, and this is really crude, so forgive me, but the analogy that just came to mind is almost like, as a parent, as a dad, I want to teach my kids how to, say I have all these different power tools and I'm a carpenter. I don't necessarily need to teach them how to build all these different things, but more so how to use all these different tools, and then they can then be successful in building what they feel like they need to build. I know that's a really rough illustration,
way to put it,
but is
good way
that
to
like
put it.
similar to what you're saying, or am I off?
It is. Or you could even say, do they need those tools if they're a carpenter,
Yeah.
right? Because maybe they want to go a different path. So what you can do is you can help them process what they want by asking them how they feel about using the tools.
Yeah.
What does it mean for them, and what would they like to do with the tool? And then that way, regardless of whether it's a tool, driving, videotaping, podcasts, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
They're getting that foundation of self-agency.
For sure.
And if they have that,
Yeah.
then they're probably going to be successful in life regardless of the
I
path.
like that.
No, that's
I'm
good.
gonna chime in. I'm gonna say that's one of my biggest things with my parents is they gave me. Well, I promoted myself to be independent, but they accepted it and they were really helpful with it.
Yeah.
They let me be independent. I made so many mistakes and they were there for me to help me figure it out, but they never got me through it themselves. I had to
Yeah.
get myself through it.
Yeah.
That was the independence that they were teaching me. And what I always think of based off of that question that you just asked is 18, moved out, went to LA, told them I was going to go to school for a couple months, or I was going to go to school, ended up going for a couple months, dropping out, not telling them until a month later.
Yeah, we had a pretty good idea, but yeah, it was a few months.
Yeah, because I'm really close to my parents. We always talked, and it got hard to tell them what I was doing at 1 p.m. when I'm supposed to be in school.
Yeah.
And I'm in there cooking in the kitchen or something. And but anyways, I told them, I was like, guys, it's not for me. I'm gonna start making videos. And I remember them. They were mad. They were okay. Like they were supportive.
Yeah.
And they did it in a way that was still parenting. They still wanted me to know that there could be consequences from this.
Right, of
And it
course.
could be a really bad decision. But they also knew me as their son, that I'm very driven and will dive full into something if I have to, especially to progress my own life. So, I told them, I told them my plan. I told them I had a plan. And within a year, I started making some money from social media, which was pretty crazy. So just kind of what you're saying off of that. What was your question again? Sorry.
Well,
It was something.
the initial
This happens sometimes.
the initial question was, as a dad, how do you promote your kid's dream? How do you help them be
Yes.
themselves,
Yes.
but also protect them?
Yeah.
You know.
My example was off of this. It's the fact that it was so non-traditional, right? But you guys were willing to listen. I think being willing to listen is so important as a father, and be willing to accept that it doesn't have to be the same as your life, and realizing that, hey, that's my kid. Like, I support them no matter what. I want them to know that there is potential downfall from it and stuff like that, but I want them to know that I support them the whole time. And they did. Every time I had video ideas, I would tell them, and they thought it was so cool.
Yeah, I think one of the things to consider is when they're young, what you're doing is you're teaching them right and wrong. And as they grow up, you're teaching them how to establish solid core values that they can use as directional beacons as life challenges come their way.
Yeah.
And you're teaching them to set boundaries. And if you have effective boundaries, if you have the right boundaries, you can provide a lot of latitude inside those boundaries for your kids to find their passion,
Right.
what they want to do.
Yeah.
Well said.
And you reinforce at the boundary point. And so you don't need to police all the other decisions that come and go and have small consequences and things like that. But you don't want your child to go down the wrong path and then get really off track.
Yeah.
And so
No,
if
that's
you
good.
focus
Which
there.
I started to, and they got me out of it. I will say that.
Yeah.
'Cause what-
Yeah, you had a couple.
Yeah.
What I've
We
noticed
talked
with
about it, drugs, alcohol,
Yeah.
all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
because what I've noticed with some helicopter parents is typically what happens is it's those micro decisions that you're talking. It's the decision, the consequence is inside of the boundary, right? So you've already established the boundary, but maybe they're being dumb inside of the boundary. Well, they're policing all of those little moments. So what I've seen that happens is the kid does not understand how to manage their own freedom. And so when they are now on their own, they have their own freedom. Unfortunately, they go crazy or they make terrible decisions because they have never built the muscle themselves of I can manage my own decisions. I have to self-regulate. They didn't do that in a safe place. And so now they're out on their own, and there's where the consequences are bigger. and they've never been given an opportunity to manage the freedom that they've had.
Exactly. And if you go back to the attachment theory that we were talking about, right? If you are always telling or solving the child's problem, right, then you create an anxious child because they now turn towards someone else.
They become codependent people
To help with everything and meet their needs, and we'll get into kind of base needs, I'm sure, in the questions, because those needs are fundamental for individuals, right?
Yeah.
A sense of purpose, sense of value, things like that. And if you help the child develop that as they naturally progress to being on their own, they're more secure as an adult.
Yeah, that makes
Really well,
sense.
really well put.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Dave, but like I think about this all the time when I'm laying in bed. Is sometimes I can't go to sleep, and if I can't, I'm thinking about when Hudson becomes a teenager.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of the teenagers. I don't think I'm strong enough to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Seriously, as a
you
dad,
are. You will be,
Like I'm
yeah.
just.
You'll be fine.
I know, but it's just so interesting to think about because, like, if I think about myself as a teenager, my parents could say something, my mind would be somewhere completely different, and I wouldn't care. I'd go off what my mind says, and that's just so interesting to me because it's like a couple things, and that's where I get where kind of helicopter parents come in.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're terrified.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I would be too.
I don't want my kid to be hurt.
Yes.
Like, so Benjamin's been doing this thing, and let's get to the submissions, I know.
No, you're fine, yeah.
But Benjamin's been doing this thing. Paula asked me this morning. Sometimes he likes to wear his hood when we drop him off
Okay.
at school. He's 5 years old.
Okay.
And
don't tell me.
we're starting to wonder if it's because, so Noah's sick, so Noah's not there with him. If it's just like a social thing, like he doesn't want to have to interact so much, and so he just wants to kind of like hide
Dude,
away.
I swear, if
So-
someone's doing anything to
Well,
Noah,
no, I don't. It's
oh, I
Benjamin,
will.
and I don't think it's anything like
Or
that at
Benji,
all.
yeah, oh my
if anything,
gosh.
if anyone's the bully, it's one of my kids.
Benji. It's Benji.
One of my kids.
You don't have to
It's
go
not
far
that.
for that.
Oh Lord! But and it's immediately like this gut reaction in me is like, oh man, like, is my kid like socially scared? I mean, the thought of like my
Yes,
kid
dude.
like not
Yes.
enjoying himself and not being like even that's just like.
I can
And
tell
he's
you're
5.
you're
I mean,
18,
he's it's no big deal. I mean, he's okay. Like, and
But it does,
and
it
he has to
sucks.
figure himself out socially in those places. Like, he's gonna have to. But I can totally sympathize
Yeah.
with helicopter parents because even like my kid putting his hood on him is like, oh no, is he scared?
Yes,
like that thought
100%,
is like,
dude.
oh man.
It's so funny because you never think of that way until you became a parent, obviously.
yeah, totally.
Like I see kids walking around with their hood all the time, and I'm like,
who cares? Yeah, nothing.
but now, yeah, if that was Hudson, I'd be like, does he not have friends?
Right.
Like, what's going on? Is he not talking to people? I'd be terrified,
Yeah,
dude.
it's like, and it's obviously nothing. Like, it's fine, but
I want to be that chill teen parent so bad, but at the same time, if he's anything like me, I cannot be a chill teen parent,
yeah.
right? If I'm a chill teen parent, he's going off the rocker. If
Yeah.
he's gonna be anything like me,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
screwed.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking about that phrase, chill team parent. Because I think it's almost an oxymoron.
Like I want to hang out with my kid. I want my kid to want to hang out with me.
You want to be engaged, and as they grow up, you want to get curious with them. You move from right and wrong to helping them form their meaning, their game plan, their strategies.
Wow.
I'm so glad you're his granddad.
You saying that is just it's highlighting things that my dad did with me when I was a teen. You know what I mean? Like I remember hours of me just asking my dad question. And what he was doing is he was letting me refine why I believe what I believe.
That's right.
Like that's so fascinating.
I want to make sure, like my dad did such a good job at this. It sounds like your dad did too.
Yeah.
They were not only a parent, but they were your friend.
Yeah.
And like you wanted to go hang out with them. Like I wanted to go hang out with my dad.
My dad
You
was
know what I mean?
approachable. My dad was
yeah, my
always
dad was very
approachable.
approachable.
Yeah.
That's it. That's good. All right. Wow. Well, thank you, Dad. Those were great answers to those
Sure.
questions.
My pleasure.
So this one comes in from one of our mom watchers, and it says, "I had my daughter November 2023, and just got through postpartum depression last June in 2024. We will say, me and David speak about this all the time. We will speak on a men's perspective on postpartum depression, but
I'm not
anything
a
we
doctor.
say-
I'm
we're
not-
a doctor.
yeah.
Whatever we say, if it's something that isn't actually helpful
Yeah.
for postpartum, please ignore it. because that's a very serious topic. I've been in therapy since I was 6 months pregnant. We've moved, been jobless, never knowing what we were going to do the next day. Between November and December 2024, I had 5 deaths in that time, from accidental suicide to heart attacks. Another one of my high school friends got in a car wreck and now is in recovery. I felt so heartbroken. This all happened when I was in high school, too. From 3 suicide, 2 family members dying to cancer, and my friend got hit by a drunk driver and passed, all within 3 months. I'm so tired of death. I get in funks and can't pull myself out of them. I'm a stay-at-home mom/nanny. We live in the mother-in-law suite of my job, and now they are on vacation for 2 months. My other friend moved, and I feel so alone. My boyfriend works 13-hour days and only off Sundays. I don't know what to do. I'm 4 hours away from my mom, and she's my best friend. I haven't read my Bible in years, but this past week you've brought me back into it. Thank you. Love you. What scriptures would recommend for mental battles and death? I'm overwhelmed and so tired. Well, this is perfect. You got someone to talk to you about psychological effects of what's going on with you right now. Yeah. You got him and me to talk about Bible perspective.
Yeah.
Dad, you want to chime in first?
Yeah, first of all, I'm sorry. That's a lot to be going through. Loss is one of the hardest things to find a path forward on because it takes time. You go through this process and it's not linear. So you jump all around between anger, depression, denial, bargaining, which is where you start to bargain with your mind, you start to bargain with God, you start to bargain with a lot of people that if I do this, can you make this pain go away? And then eventually you'll get to acceptance. But the key here is that you are going to have those days where you feel the loss deeply and painfully. And this is where having a support system, I'm glad you're in therapy. That's key. Try to find some groups. A lot of people are going through this.
Friend moved away.
Yeah, she's alone.
And she doesn't have her mom anymore.
Right.
Yeah. She was really close to her.
When we're alone, something we haven't talked about is the brain isn't our friend at times. And the reason for it is the purpose of our brain. And our brain has 2 primary functions, to protect and to provide. So it's almost like you have a sentry, and you've hired this sentry, and you hired it 24/7 to notice danger, notice risk. So the brain can figure out how it's going to behave. How is it going to keep you safe? Now, I said it isn't your friend because sometimes it'd be great if the brain were to say, I want to have positive thoughts. That's how I'm going to keep you safe. But familiarity, what you know, feels safe for the brain because it minimizes risk. If I'm the sentry and my job is just to focus on danger and risk, I'm not looking for pleasure. I'm not looking for happiness, right? It's there, but have you noticed how that doesn't last when the negative comes into play?
Right.
So what we know is positive affirmations are really strong. Scripture's really strong, and I'll let others talk to that. But positive affirmations, you want to think that for every negative, it takes 5 positives to neutralize the negative, not to make you feel good.
He's told me that so many times. That is such
just
a big
to
fact.
neutralize it. So turn to yourself, write affirmations of how strong you are. I mean, to face all this and still be reaching out, still be asking for help, that shows real courage. And I encourage you to honor your courage and honor your ability, your perseverance, your strength as you deal with all this loss.
Yeah, well said.
I had four things just kind of come to mind. My heart goes out to you. My heart breaks for you. I mean, I cannot imagine that much death in that short amount of time. I mean, for anyone, that's a horrible thing to go through. And I'm going to say something a little strong, I think you'll know what I mean after I say it, but I don't mean this to be diminishing. I mean this to be an encouragement, but joy the biblical principle of joy comes from accepting one's situation as good.
That's right.
And so I don't mean denial. I don't mean you're denying your emotions. Or what I mean is accepting that God is still God. God is in control. The theological word for suffering is theodicy. We live in a world of suffering. Bad things do happen to good people. The book of Job in the Bible is a great story of understanding, sometimes just we live in a fallen, broken world.
Absolutely.
And there are consequences of being in that fallen, broken world, things that sometimes will be outside of our understanding. On this side of eternity, while we are living, before Christ comes back and returns, while we're living in this side of eternity, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of misunderstanding, there's a lot of suffering. Bad things happen. And there's a whole theological discussion in that. But my encouragement to you is, one, just recognizing that God still loves you. I mean, I completely agree with what Eric's saying. Your brain needs to find comfort in what it knows. And what you can know is that God still loves you. God still sees you. God's not forgotten you. In the midst of this pain, God is still here. And I would encourage you to read some of the Psalms. Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. All these wonderful things. And I would just encourage you to find some comfort in those things. And then lastly, just echoing Eric again and Ryan, but just community. Maybe it's a church group, maybe it's some kind of group. I think therapy is great. I'm glad you're there. But finding some form of community, of having some real people around you, I think would also tremendously help you. Yeah,
man, that's great well said too. I think I'm in the same boat. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying because I've been trying to do sprinkle in my testimony and just my faith into what I do more and more. And I actually know exactly what she's talking about. I recently had a live stream and she was in there. And she had actually told me the next day, she's like, hey, I read my Bible because of what you were saying. Wow. And, so I really appreciate you opening up and saying that. Along those lines, David knows this, prayer is so strong. And I think when I was in a position where I was still finding my faith and I kind of felt alone in it for a little bit, the Lord is there for you as a friend, as a mentor, as guidance. And a lot of my prayers back then it was just talking. I just wanted a friend. I was talking to God, and he'll be there for you. And I think prayer is so strong to the point that, pray for a community. Pray for like-minded Christians. Pray for like-minded moms. Pray for happy moms within your group. Pray for moms that are guiding you closer to Him. And I think you'll see a huge shift in your life. In a short time, I really do. And so sorry what you're going through. I know it can't be easy, especially having a partner that works that much. I'm so sorry about that. I'm glad he's providing for you guys, but I'm definitely sorry about that because, your partner's your best friend too, Sucks not having your partner around all the time. And, man, just praying for you in general. And echoing what my dad said too, I think it's really smart to did you say accept it, or were you saying accept it? Go ahead. I think it's really easy when you're in a slump to be like, I'm in a slump. It sucks. This is what my life is now. And it's so easy to let that slump take over all the good in your life, because I guarantee you there's still a lot of good going on. And I think when you accept it, because I've been through lots of dark challenges, and when I accepted it was the first time I was able to really find that it doesn't own me. And I'm able to progress and find things that actually make me happier. So now we're praying for you, and keep us updated.
Yeah, one other thought on that too. Acceptance is not agreement. Acceptance.
good.
Acceptance is just understanding that that is here right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. And so what you can do by just saying yes when you're talking about how you feel, when you're talking about you're sad today, is you're telling your brain it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you can have room to look for joy
Yeah. That's really good.
and to turn to the Bible, turn to God, turn to groups, and also journal is another
Yes.
way
Yes.
so you
Journaling's
don't
huge.
feel alone.
I used to journal all the time.
Yeah.
Love journaling. And then off of what Dave was saying, yeah, Psalms and also Proverbs. Some amazing stuff that would definitely help you what you're going through, especially if you're just opening up with the Lord again. Obviously, all the Gospels. But yeah. And yeah, thank you. And next up, we have one from a fellow dad. It says, so when it comes to postpartum, how can I be more supportive and understanding when it comes to her feelings and thoughts? This will be my first time being exposed to exposed to what ways can I open my mind to something? I have no way of feeling myself. I know it affects each mother differently, but are there any ways I can prepare myself beforehand so I can be the best version of myself to help? I'm going to chime in on this first real quick. So I was huge about postpartum. I have a lot of things when it comes to postpartum. Dads need to let down their guard. Dad needs to let down their own ego. Every dad has an ego. It's just how it is. We all want to lead, and we want to be a father before we even are a father. We want to lead someone. And when it's our partner, it's really easy to feel very connected in that way, to be like, you can make their decisions. And I think I see that go wrong a lot in postpartum. You have to be almost like a beckoning call, right? It's their body, and you can speak on this, their body and emotions, their mind go through so much different change. And I think you got to put in the effort as a male, and you have to learn about it, research it, figure out signs. So if your wife is showing those signs, or your partner, whatever, is showing those signs, then you can be there in a helpful way. You don't want to be there and just be in the space, because that is just even more annoying at that point, but be there in a way that is helpful. I made sure that I was helpful in every single way, physical, mentally, taking care of the baby, obviously. And, both me and David speak on that all the time. Just being a present father, I think is really important. And postpartum, I think it is all about, for men, have to put down our ego and learn more and be like, know like you care. Like it's something that's one of your interests, show interest in it and learn about it, because I think it was very helpful for me in that case.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I run a few men's groups, and one of the areas we focus on, whether it be postpartum, whether it be just having a hard time connecting with your spouse, one of the things we focus on is the difference between many males, not all males, many males and many females, women, is where they enter into problem solving.
Yeah.
Okay, so males, we come in, and this has to do with our biological makeup, has to do with generations over generations of the role of the man, and thankfully that's changing, that's expanding. But men usually come in from the problem-solving lens.
Absolutely.
And problem-solving does not mean they're not interested. It means just the opposite. They care so much that they want to solve the problem. Now, the challenge in that is that women often lead with emotion to get to problem solving. So I used the example many, many generations ago when someone's knocking at the cabin door. The man immediately looks for how he's going to protect, and he makes sure that all the doors are locked, and he goes around and he gathers guns or whatever he's going to do to protect himself. And he then gets ready for battle. The woman also is focused on protection. And the first thing she does is open up her arms, pull all the children into her,
Wow.
and then says, we're going to be okay.
Wow. Yeah.
That's such a wonderful example.
Such
I mean,
a
they
good
hit the
analogy.
nail on the head.
Yeah,
I mean,
such
exactly.
a good analogy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the key, the answer to the question is bridge through emotion. Okay, and emotion is not meant to be solved. It's meant to be seen.
Wow.
That's good.
So connect with the
lot of
emotion.
Dad's
Sure
dropping
that-
bombs over here.
a lot of men need to hear that. Sometimes we just need to listen, okay, and see their emotions.
Yeah. So, you can look online if you're not so attuned with emotion, and many men aren't. That's why I run the men's groups.
There's starting to become a lot of, sorry, real quick too, this is important. There's starting to become a lot of classes at hospitals for postpartum understanding, which I think is something every soon-to-be dad should attend. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. And look online for emotion wheels. Understand
You
emotions.
sent me these before, yeah.
Because there's actually 3 rings on most of these emotions wheels. And the center is what is known as primary emotions. Another way to think of it is what's being presented: anger, happiness, sadness, disgust. But that's not the emotion that one is feeling. The emotion that one is feeling, if it's anger, could be fear. It could be frustration. It could be a sense of challenge. So until you can get to the real emotion, you're problem solving the presented emotion. Mm-hmm. And so what you do is you just say, that must be hard. That must be difficult. Can you share more? Get curious. Find out what that means to the spouse. How is she feeling and how's she dealing with that? What else is going on? Try to see the emotion, not problem solve it.
Yeah. No, that's good. Only thing I'll say on that is have grace. Have a lot of grace for her.
Yes.
She's going to say things she probably doesn't mean, and
I remember you telling me this, too.
there's going to be moments she says stuff and does stuff that...
So true, yeah.
And give her grace for it. I mean, she just went through a lot. She's going through a lot. So have grace.
I can't stand the men that are like, it's not that hard. I can do it. It's not that bad. I could do it. I wouldn't be like this. Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I mean, you don't understand how their hormones are going all over the
get
place. I
cold.
mean, yeah.
Every male that gets a cold is like the worst person.
Oh, yeah.
I've
That was
ever
me
known.
last week.
Dude, it's awful. It's like you think you're dying,
Yeah.
and a woman gets cold, and they're like, okay, so I'm going to get up and do stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, we say these things all the time. That's where I just say, drop your ego. Have grace.
Yeah.
And what he said.
Yeah, grace and pace.
Grace and pace. I like that.
Right, that's the model. Just take your time, be there for them, just stand alongside them.
I think listen a lot more than talk as well. I think it's
Yes.
very important.
Good.
Curious. Stay curious.
All you gotta do is just listen, especially when you're in a fight too. Maybe just listen sometimes. But guys, thank you so much, Dan. Thank you so much for
Yes. That was
My
amazing.
pleasure. This was
Being our
fun.
first
Thank
guest.
you.
That was wonderful.
our first guest. This was really cool.
That was.
We did get quite a few more submissions. We're gonna save them for next week. Our time limit's all up, but we love you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you guys download the episode and do a submission. Like David said, if you
Yes.
guys want to be on here.
Wonderful.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Nice job, Dad.